anything. All you want is my money, and you're not doing anything. So that's my rant about what people are talking about.
Contribute to the candidate of your choice. You choose when it comes time in the primaries who you want to support based on what you're... I've got a cough drop in my mouth, excuse me.
That's all right.
But based on your preferences, contribute to that campaign, but do not contribute to these major parties. The only way to hurt them is in the purse. The only way to make them listen to us is in the purse. So you start building up money for your chosen candidate. Later on, if the Republican Party's candidate happens to win the nomination, that's a whole different ball game then. Because then we swing over and we support them against the Democrats. But during the primaries, you can support your candidate, not the party.
Well, we support the candidate, and it may be the lesser of two evils. There may be a lot you don't like about him. Let me tell you, I supported John McCain, and I don't like John McCain. But I sure didn't want Obama in there. So you Christians, you're saying, well, I couldn't possibly vote for John McCain. Well, you stayed home in droves, and look what we got. And if Christians stuck together for one time in their lives, we'd get out of this mess, because there's more of us than you know. So knock it off, Christians. You got to get up. You got to stand up. You got to speak up and get off your bottom. You have to do something. And for heaven's sakes, you have to pray. If you say I'm a Christian and you don't pray, I'm so sorry. That is all wrong. All wrong. And I just can't stand the thought that there are so many Christians in this country and you didn't bother to vote. And look how many times you can vote early. You can vote early anywhere. Now, I wouldn't say vote often, because that's what the Democrats do. But you could...
I have a picture that is kind of like my little mantra, and it's I refuse to go silently into the catacombs again. I will not go in quiet to the catacombs again. I will speak out about my faith and what this country is doing to destroy my faith.
Absolutely.
I urge everybody else to not allow a nation to push you into hiding the way you draw a fish in the sand in order to communicate with one another. I will not do that. Not in my lifetime.
Nope. Well, let's take a break. We're right at a good spot. And we hope you enjoy this piece coming up. You just stay right there, and you are listening to Right Opinions on Spreaker. We'll be right back.
Born on a mountain in Tennessee, greenest state in the land of the free. Raised in the woods so's he knew every tree. He killed him a bar when he was only 3. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. Fought single-handed through the Injun War, till the creeks was whipped and the peace was in store. And while he was a-handlin' this risky chore, made himself a legend forevermore. Davy Crockett, the man who don't know fear. When he lost his love, his grief was gall. In his heart, he wanted to leave it all and lose himself in the forest tall. But he answered instead his country's call. Davy Crockett, the choice of the whole frontier. He went off to Congress and served a spell, fixing up the government and laws as well. Took over Washington, so I've heard tell, and patched up a crack in the Liberty Bell. Davy Crockett, seeing his duty clear. When he came home, his politicking done, why the big Western March had just begun. So he packed his gear and his trusty gun, and lit out a grinning to follow the sun. Davy Crockett, leading the pioneer. His land is the biggest His land is the best, from grassy plains to the mountain crest. He's ahead of us all and meeting the test, and following his legend right into the West. Davy Crockett, the king of the wild frontier. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
Davy Crockett, there you go. Hey, we're into what's hot and what's not, and we're going to be discussing whatever we want to discuss, but we're going to ask Teresa to go first, and there's a reason we just played that song. Teresa, take it away.
Yes, there is. Thanks, Marcia. Well, when we, my dad and one of my great aunts had traced our ancestry, and we found two connections to Davy Crockett. So I did a little bit of research on him, because I was kind of tickled to find out we were related to such a great historian. He was a frontiersman, a folk hero, a 3-time congressman. He fought in the War of 1812, and he died at the Battle of the Alamo in the Texas Revolution. And I know one story about him. He quit school when he was like 13 years old because he had went to school one day, and on the 4th day of school that year, he had beat the tar out of 3 other boys. And then, so he was afraid to go back to school. So he took off and wandered around the countryside, working on his hunting and shooting skills and his wood workmanship. And then when he was 16, he returned home to work to pay off a debt that his father owed to a Kennedy. And after that debt was paid off, he continued to work for him, and then he went into politics, And I look at him, and then I look at the representatives that we have now, and I think, oh my, how far we have fallen, from the great patriots and people that cared about this country and wanted to build it, and to look at what we have now. We have a government that paid a VA hospital director $288,000 in part of their relocation program. She moved 140 miles. That $288,000 was like 160% of her pay. Isn't that mind-boggling?
Yeah.
If we had more leaders today, like we used to have, we would be in so much better shape. Our country would be on the right track. And I just have one other quick hot or not thing that I read this and I couldn't believe it. The FBI has admitted that all registered motorcycle owners are on a classified gang list.
What?
Yeah, they are. If you are a registered owner, you are on a classified gang list. Their logic is that if a person owning a motorcycle is 67% more likely to commit crime. Can you believe that?
I can tell you that 98% of them are now very proud.
Yeah. I thought, oh yes, my 55-year-old neighbor that rides her bike with her 60-year-old husband, she's really something to worry about. It's just mind-boggling to me how drastically our focus and our direction has changed.
Well, that's because our president can only ride a bicycle. Motorized golf course.
Yeah. Yeah, and he can only hang curtains. and he doesn't know how to open an umbrella.
Or salute a soldier.
That's right. That's right.
Mary Poppins, he ain't.
Well, Teresa, I think your family history is absolutely fascinating. My question to you is, though, what 2 ways were you able to trace it? How did that come out that you had 2 of them?
grandfather's side, and it was Lynn Crockett. One was on his side, and I should have wrote down, as I traced it back, I tried to figure out what that would have made him to me, and I didn't write it down.
Oh, okay.
Check and do that again. And then the other one was on one of my uncle's side. Another uncle, it's in the same Crockett family, had married. It sounds weird when you say it like that. Had married into, like, there was a stepsister or a stepsister that had married into the family also.
Oh.
And it was just kind of cool to have two connections. When my dad worked as a foreman, and my grandmother, before she passed away, she worked for J.C. Penney's, and both of their name tags said Davy Crockett. Everybody knew them by. If I would call my dad at work and ask for Ed, they'd say, who? And as soon as I'd say Davy, oh yeah, just a minute.
That's a great story.
It is really good.
That's a great story. Okay, all right. We had a little bit of personal history there, but now, Roland, what's your hot and not?
Fracking.
What?
Fracking.
Oh, fracking.
Yes. It's been reported that Obama's going to try to outlaw fracking. And this has just come out in the last few days. And I want listeners to know I've done a little bit of studying in it about fracking and about energy. And one of the greatest things we have in our natural resources in our country is fossil fuel, with coal, oil, gas. And fracking is, they have a high-powered water that goes down and busts the rocks up and separates them where they can get to the gas and the oil. And it's unbelievable how being energy independent and not have to buy from Venezuela or Mexico or the Middle East, and also we could export our oil to other countries, particularly our countries that are on our side, our allies. We could put Russia back where they belong in the 17th century, and the Arabs the same way. We could dictate to the world almost economically. And that's how really we can win this war against these people, is being economically strong. And that's exactly what Reagan did with the Russians in the Cold War, the Soviet Union. So I think we've got to talk to our congressman and not allow this business of fracking. I mean, it has less information that is accurate than our climate warming. And our climate warming, we'll spend some time on that at some stage, is ridiculous. I mean, when Gore was a boy, they had 144 glaciers in the North Pole. And with all this global warming and everything that's been going on since in the last 70 years or 60 years, however old it is, guess how many we have now? 144. So nothing's changed. But we really need to watch this fracking business. Look at our gas prices right now. And the government has control of 50% of our area in our country. And they can open that up. And the amount of oil in those areas, I know a guy that's been in the oil business all his life. He said you would not believe the resources that we've got. So fracking is something that we've got to really watch and talk to our representatives and not allow this moron to make a presidential, the only way to get it through is a presidential ruling or something. So that's what I have to say. And I tell you, it's probably one of the most important things we can have right now.